Welcome back to the Mind Body Project. Thanks for taking a little time to join me today. I'm excited about my guest today. He is a husband, a father, a coach, a principal, has been a missionary, and he is the author of a brand new book called 30 Years Strong, Marriage Secrets Every Man Should Know, which is currently number one on many different Amazon lists. Please welcome my guest today, Aaron Tefertiller. Thank you, Aaron, for joining me.
Appreciate it.
So first of all, congratulations on your new book. It's an exciting opportunity. It's a great book. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I kind of want to get into your background a little bit. Your coach, principal. I know you got out of that a little bit and got back in, and
been in and out 2 different times. Back in it again.
You just can't stop going back in, huh?
No, I just I keep trying to get out, and the Lord keeps pulling me back.
Mm-hmm. So that was the plan going through college? Was I'm going to be a teacher?
No, because my dad was an educator here in Bowie, so never wanted to be a teacher. And so Shelly and I got married young. Obviously that's kind of where the book starts.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought I was going to be a youth pastor. That was kind of what was on my heart to begin with. And Shelly's dad does. He's a farmer, does custom hay, and at the time was large scale watermelons, cantaloupes, all that good stuff. So I'd help him in the summer and stuff when school wasn't going on, and I just was out in the field one day and just really, I know exactly where I was. I can see it right now, and said that you're gonna be a youth pastor, but it's gonna be in the schools. So I immediately was like, that's a coach.
Like you just felt that, heard that.
Yep.
Yep. And the reason I asked is because, and it's interesting you remember where you're at, what was going on, because oftentimes and we'll talk about it, that you grew up in church.
Yes, did.
And sometimes people, God spoke to me, and I'm always waiting for, I'm going to need to whack me on the head to say, hey, goofball, that's what I'm trying to say. But you knew that's.
Yeah. It was a strong sense, and I'll fast forward to that in just a minute. So, like, be a coach, never thought about that before. So I go into UNT and I talked to the advisor. And I'm like, I want to get a degree for being a coach. And so she was just like, well, there is no such thing. So kinesiology is the route. So I got my list and just started marking off religiously the classes I was taking, and got out as soon as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And so was in for a while. Then we prayed about going to Africa. And that trip was really to see if, long-term missions was something that we were supposed to be doing. And so we were supposed to go for 8 months, ended up staying about half of that time. What happened, it's kind of in the book, but that was another thing, was with all the struggle and everything that was hard there, got the same word again. I already told you where to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we came back and got back into it again.
And how old were you when and we'll talk a little bit more about Africa, but how old were you when you and Shelly went to Africa?
Let's see. We've been married 7-ish years, I guess. No, that couldn't be right.
So mid-20s?
Yeah, late 20s, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We had already had 4 kids. We've got 5 now, but 4 at the time, and they were all. Lydia was brand new born, so that was 2007. So we got married in 96. So what is that? 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had 4 kids under 6 years old. I have no idea what we were thinking.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
The book is just it really starts with you and Shelly getting married, really dating before that.
Not long,
right? And that's really where the story picks up, and just some real lessons learned in the last 30 years. But and together working through those, kind of, what was special about Shelly in those early years when you thought she's the one? How long did you date?
We went on our first date in August and got married in December.
So what were your parents' response to that? Because she was still in high school, or
She was.
Yeah.
I was interested in her because of red hair. So she knows that. She was friends with my cousin. I told my cousin that I was kind of interested in her, but she was not in me. So that summer, she'll tell you the story. She was with her cousin. Her cousin was like, well, Aaron Tefertiller said that he liked me or wanted to go out or whatever. And she was like, well, just call him. And she was like, no. So anyway, she did. And so we went out and in August and left for Austin College about 2 weeks after that. And yep, she was still in high school. We got pregnant. She wasn't pregnant when we got married. That was kind of the word that was going around. So just to get that out in the open.
Because if you got married that quick, surely there must be something besides love.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Can't be love.
Yep. So we got married December. She had a semester left, so she graduated salutatorian, and as soon as she graduated, we moved to Denton, got jobs, started school,
Mm-hmm.
and it began fast paced at that point.
And so all these years, what kind of was your inspiration, maybe your calling to write this book, 30 Years Strong?
Really, this, I was telling you about this spring, starting to put it together and just trying to think of, ways of, not wasting my time either watching TV or, sitting around like there's got to be more, or doing something, or, something that can, help, but maybe even, be a little side hustle deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just kind of started growing from that. But listening to podcasts, business podcasts, small business podcasts, side hustle podcasts, just anything I could get my hands on. And so just to train my brain to start thinking in a different way, because education is so different.
Mm-hmm.
Being in the school system you don't operate. The school year is not a real year from, January to December.
Mm-hmm.
It's August to May. Just so many things about education are just not how the real world functions. And so just training my brain to, recognize certain words, think certain things. How does an entrepreneur think? How does a business person think? And I was like, well, you can start small, and it's just whatever your skill is. There's a place for that and a niche for that. And I'm thinking, I don't have any skills.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a principal and coach right now, and I still don't. I always say I'm jack of all, master of none.
Mm-hmm.
That's truly how I feel. And when I was just assessing and looking at skills, I'm like, I'm really good at only one thing, and that's my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really how it started. Is like, okay, all these things that I've been listening to, read, and say, just take a skill that you've got, and so that's really kind of just ran with it at that point.
And from an entrepreneur standpoint, I don't know how to do this. How long have you been in education, on and off?
21 years, I think. 21.
And part of education, and you still educate yourself in a different way. Of, like you mentioned, thinking different. What are some words? What are phrases? What can I start with? What can I do? And it's really like, what am I good at?
Yep.
And then how do I make that work? How do I'm a side hustler? How do I think differently? How do I create things? Which is, I think, we all think, oh, I'm not good at anything, or I can kind of do some stuff. But there is something that we're really good at. From an entrepreneur standpoint, if you're looking for something, sometimes it's just right there in front of your face. And it was for almost 30 years.
Yeah. Listening to stories of people like, just starting a weed blowing business, or a, power washing business, or just simple stuff. And a lot of them were just kids in high school,
Mm-hmm.
Who had running a business, 2 years after they graduate from high school, and it's, already a multi-million-dollar business. And it's like, that's so elementary. Like, I wish I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, you just got to train your brain, and marriage is no different.
Mm-hmm.
It's muscle memory. So, you got to learn it. you got to practice it, and then apply it until it's muscle memory, and it's where you want it to be.
And it does sometimes come to our marriages that we do have to think differently.
Sure.
Because
well, I mean, you're I'm not going to ask you how old you are. I'm 47. But
50.
Okay.
We're about the same age.
Yeah, you don't look it.
Well, thank you.
I mean, are you a different person at 50 than you were at 21?
Oh, yeah.
And your wife is too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're growing, if you're developing, getting gray hairs, having knee replacements, speaking from experience, had cataracts. Anyway, well, your wife's different, and those are just part of who we are as human beings. And so, our minds are the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Our hearts are the same way. I've got different passions and likes now that I never would have, when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So experiences create new, pathways in your brain and meeting new people. And so that's the joy of life. So but people don't, the marriage is usually the safe space, that's where I go to kick my feet up. That's where it's usually the area in our life that we spend the least amount of time bettering.
Mm-hmm.
And so it shouldn't be that way.
I always ask when I hear people have been married and older couples have been married 50 years, 60 years, I always ask, what's the secret to that longevity of that marriage? And I just always love the answers. But a lot of times they never get, it's been the easiest 50 years of my life. It takes work. Sure. And a lot of them, that's the advice. A lot of the secret is it has to do with how they treat each other, how they work on their marriage. There's a reason for that longevity is because there's work put into it. We don't think anything about spending 8 hours at our job, but very little about spending an hour a day on our marriage.
Absolutely. Yep.
And as the book is geared towards men, correct? It's for men. It's, marriage secrets. There's some good ones in there.
Simple ones.
Simple.
I'm not very smart, so it's got to be simple.
Well, I mean, sometimes as guys, we need it simple because don't make it complicated for us. And there's secrets in there that for men to better their marriage. But what has been the primary response to the book of people, male or female, purchasing?
Well, like we were talking about just a minute ago, the first week to 2 weeks, if people were making comments or sending a text and say, "Hey, read the book, awesome, blah blah blah," it was predominantly women. And so we were on vacation when we shot it off. Putting it through Amazon, you don't have control over that. So it's a process. And so it just so happened to go out, when we were going on vacation. And so we weren't even home. And so we're sitting around. I'm like, it's not who I geared the book towards. And so, but we were getting good feedback as far as people's hearts being touched and things like that. And so I was just like, let's just see where it goes. I mean, the book, I had no purpose with the book as far as putting it together anyway. I had but there was no goal or anything else. It was just kind of like, hey, look, this is a cool thing to do. Let's see what happens. Listen to those podcasts and everything. It's just like start somewhere. Mm-hmm. So that was the start. And I've heard for some men, but like we talked about earlier, men don't respond, as much, talk as much. So I'm thinking it's resonating with men from the few that I've talked to. If it resonates with me, it's got to be resonating with mm-hmm. Others. Guys just don't talk about it, which is fine. But that's kind of the book as far as the simplicity of it, and some keys and some things to try. Just a little bit of effort goes a long way.
And the interesting thing is the stats show that when it comes to divorce, it's well over 50% in our country that. Predominantly women are the ones that file for divorce.
This is true.
And we might look at that on the surface and say, well, the women are the ones unhappy. So it's their fault.
They're the ones that went out.
Yeah. What do you think?
If they're filing for it, they're the ones that went out.
Right. I mean, that'd be obvious, right?
Sure.
But I think, what does that tell us as men?
Well, kind of talked about that for a second too. That's kind of that's in the book. I mean, if you're asking my personal opinion, guys need to step up. It's time to step up. And so, not that it's, divorce is a tricky thing, and I don't really want to get, the whys of the hows of that, but because it takes two to tango. That's why, some people said, well, I want to hear Shelly's side of the story. Y'all need to put out another book. Hear Shelly's side of the story. But, as the husband of the home and the father of the home, I see it as my duty to, provide, protect, all of those things. And so I see it as, a failure on our part of at least not showing up, not trying enough, not, we've read thousands of marriage books along the way, been to thousands of, marriage conferences, been to marriage counseling. That's all education. People get PhDs and master's degrees and that sort of stuff. With the availability of the internet and the books and everything that's out there now, there's no reason for us to not pick up some of those tools and learn some of those things. So it's either an attitude of that's just not important to me. I mean, we usually put all of our effort in the things that we are most important to us, or it's I don't know where to look, or I don't know how to do that. So that's kind of another thing with the book is, just start with these few things, dialogue with your wife. Ask her those questions. How am I doing as a husband? Be ready for an answer.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Is like, do I really want her to answer that? Because you got to be ready for that.
Sure, but being humble and repentant and being able to check, with analytics today and everything from sports to money to finances, whatever it is, that's a big deal. And so it's not everything. Being in athletics, there's still the side of the human side that analytics can't coach, but it still shows you a picture. And so if we want to get better at something, if we want to work on a degree, if we want to, whatever it is, learn how to, build an engine in a car or whatever, then we're going to have to do something different than what we've been doing. And so if you've got to ask a question, but you've also got to be willing to get an answer. So just be humble about it, and you got to be able to take it, because it's kind of like asking a kid something. They're going to give you the be brutally honest, so you got to be ready for it.
And I think my personal opinion of marriages and some of the trouble in our current day is communication.
Absolutely.
And that goes right in line with it. It's the lack of effective communication. There's communication, but it's not always effective communication. And that's a give and take of, you talk to me, I'll take that, do something with it. And, I might say, well, that's easy, 30 years, no big deal. It's easy if you have an easy life. But you and Shelly had some challenges.
Well, that's
Shelly really had some challenges and help and things that you had to learn that caught you off guard through the years.
And that's the thing about it is, like, that's something that I still, I don't want to necessarily say struggle, but it's still something that you've got to get out of the ruts on sometimes and reassess, because my natural inclination is to internalize it, make it philosophical, spin it, and it takes me a while to do that. And so that sometimes I don't know that if I'm internalizing, I'm not saying something to my wife. So just because I wrote the book doesn't mean I'm an expert at it. I still have to work on those things. I still can get in the position of shutting down sometimes. And it's not that I don't have anything to do with my wife. It's just, as my personality, that's how I reboot and think and process and focus. And so sometimes I've got to be reminded, hey, what are the words you're thinking? Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
Let me in.
Because it's not that guys aren't thinking,
Right.
They're not expressing it in a way that a woman would like for them to. So it's like getting an oil change. You've always got to be practicing it. And again, I'm still not perfect at it.
We have a lot of conversations in different groups that we have here, and one of the things I always share with them, that if it's a walk and talk or it's a marriage group that we do or anything like that, I always say these topics aren't because I'm perfect at them. It's again because I'm struggling with them.
Sure.
And if I'm struggling with them, I'm not alone. Out of 8 billion people in the world, there's got to be somebody else.
There's got to be a few others. Yeah.
That's really struggling with it. And over those years, in those early years, one of the big struggles was Shelley's mental health.
That could be a book by itself.
I'm sure. It really caused a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And there were probably times, I might be wrong, but there's probably times like, man, I can't handle that. But in your vows, it says, till death do us part. And you're taking that serious.
Yep.
In a world of, there's something better.
Well, like it says in the book, I mean, we literally said this when we first started, like, divorce isn't going to be in our vocabulary. So, if you try to learn a foreign language or you're trying to express to someone else that's, doesn't speak your language and there's not a word for it, then there's no understanding of it when you're trying to get something across to them. So, if that's what we did, was we literally took that word out of our vocabulary. It's never come up. So, that's just been something that we've stood on to start out.
And so you have a calling to go to Africa, and the plan is 8. And the story again is
8 months.
Yep. The plan is to be there 8 months. The story's in the book. Shelley just knocks it out of the park and gets you all set up and ready to go there. And
yeah, get it done, girl, is in quotes in the book. I mean, that's literally something that I call her. She, if something needs to be done, she can get it done.
She gets it done. And normally that process, it was a couple months, right? That she got everything kind of squared away. And
yes, we started really pushing it, I think, mid-spring, and then we were out by November. So raising enough, I mean, that's the main thing that you're doing. We went with an organization, and so they're taking care of the backside of where you're going to stay and what it's going to look like and what are you going to do while you're there and whatnot. And so the footwork we do here is the raising of funds. So we're taking 6 people across the world. It's not cheap.
Quit your jobs, everything.
Well, Shelley's been up until 5-ish years ago. Shelley's been a stay-at-home mom, which is the hardest job in the world.
And I always think there should be a different name for that.
I do too.
Especially as they get older. So when the kids leave, you call.
Yeah. I saw something the other day that said, you call her stay-at-home mom, but if you pay someone to do the same thing if she's going to work. So if that's a job that you're paying somebody to do to watch your kids, then your wife's doing that job, 24 hours a day. And so she did that. She's amazing. So yes, I quit my job. I was coaching at Bellevue at the time. So yeah, we're hitting the road.
And so you're there, you're in a village, and then you move out because you want to rough it a little bit more with no water, no electricity.
Yeah, you gotta know Shelley.
Like, let's get the real experience. We're not a missionary unless we really get in the dirt.
Yeah, like old school, living in a grass hut, that sort of deal. It wasn't to that extent, but it was probably about as close as you could get without getting to that extent.
So was that Shelley's idea? Because you were kind of a community, right, when you first went?
When we first went, Shelley's had a heart for Africa and still does since she was little. So I'm sure at some point that'll be back in our future. We've got 5 kids. Number 4 just graduated, and we adopted one several years ago, so he's only going to be a second grader.
Mm.
So we'll see. But
Mm-hmm.
our kids are getting older now. But yes, going over there, it was kind of a soft landing. It was in a community compound with other missionary families that were there. There was a school inside that compound that the town's kids came to and everything. Rather large compound, and so it was safe. Took care of us. It was family. So yeah, if to get the whole experience and to get our feet on the ground and see if this is what we're supposed to be doing full time. Yeah, we felt like we needed to go out. Our main contact who was there with that organization, she lived out in that area and had been for many years by herself. So no compound, no walls, no fences, no security guards. Just in a mud brick house, no electricity, no running water, outhouse, roaches, the whole deal.
The whole experience
with four kids,
and the youngest
5
being
and under. Yeah,
5 and under. Woo.
Yeah, Lydia was I think 3 months when we left, something like that.
That's extreme.
That's extreme.
And so, all of that kind of took its toll on Shelley.
Yes,
with her mental health.
She'd gotten into a good place, and that was the main fear going over there. It wasn't necessarily safety for our kids or anything else like that, but it was what if this came back, and it did, and it came back hard and fast.
And I keep share about her mental health, and you really do great in the book about sharing that story over the book, because I think it's so important, because it does take a strong marriage to work through that, and it's sometimes nothing that anybody ever sees.
No.
You can't go, oh, there's these problems or that problem. You can't see them from that word. It's really just a silent thing that
it's mental.
Yes, that you can't put a hand on. You can't fix it like as husbands we want to do. And in the book, you have a chapter about protect her. And as men, we like to do. So we like to fix things. So we think of that. I'm going to stand in front of her door, like I said, with armed guards with a gun. But that's not necessarily what you mean. Like what does that mean? What does to protect her? As you think about her mental health and really the challenge that it has been over the years.
Yeah. And it's been many years of good lately, as far as, medication and that sort of thing. Cause, touch on it some in the book, but tried some natural ways and whatnot to try to, curb that and all. But, she'll even say it now, when she's been in that dark place, and how awful that it is. Like, it's so bad that now that she's out, like you still can't feel it like you do when you're in it. She knows what it is, but it's something that, unless you're right in the middle of it, and sorry, watching somebody in that state is it's awful, and it's pretty humbling. So as far as protection goes, there's nothing that you can do to help, so the protection, I'm trying to think of words. The protection just comes from, everything else that's around her at the time. That if it's, people asking questions, and we got 4 kids in the middle of that. And so, they're a part of that too. And, having to find that balance of, how do you, what do they see? How do you describe it to them? What do we talk about? That sort of thing. And so, the protection is in that instance, it's everything else. Is she comfortable? Is she any other aspect of her life is she taken care of? Because that's the one thing that you can't touch.
Mm-hmm.
So protection comes in a lot of different ways, and some of it's just your presence.
Mm-hmm.
Words or no words, or just being there. The mental health part could be a whole book by itself, and I think that has probably struck a chord with probably more people than would say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact to tell that part of the story, when I had Shelly read some of the chapters, it's like, hey, this is what I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's like, what in the world?
Because you're talking about her.
Yeah. So she
her.
says, well, let's do it. Go ahead and finish it. And I'm like, babe, if this comes out, you realize people are going to know your story. Uh-huh. I'm a private person to begin with. So to even tell a story
mm-hmm.
Is way out of my comfort zone. But Shelly's story is way different, and it's personal. Her story is not my story. I just walked alongside her,
mm-hmm.
During that. So it's like, I have to have your okay to do this. And she's like, well, I would tell anybody anyway. And she would. She's not afraid. So, yeah, that, we would like to put something out that's really just geared towards that and that story, just to help people as far as, like the tools in the book for men. Just some simple things as far as this is real and it's affecting more people than it used to. I'm in the school business and I see things now that I didn't see 15 years ago in high schools as far as mental health and the things that kids wrestle with now. So it's a big deal.
And we do, especially we do have to talk about it as spouses, and I mean we have to deal with those things and work through those things because otherwise we create some real problems, some distance, some resentment,
good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, and it's just
like marriage. Like marriage is not your first date. It's not your wife. Before you get married, and when she's gorgeous and like that's not 24 hours a day when you get married. So that's the difficult part as far as you don't know those, and you don't get in that nitty gritty until you're in it. So if you don't have the mindset of we're in it together, let's do this, death do us part, no divorce, then you're always going to it's like water, find least resistance, wherever its lowest point is. You're going to find that. We do that in every other aspect of our lives. We will do the same in our marriage. So that's what has to be reckoned with, from the beginning.
And I like how the book's laid out, because sometimes as men we're not the brightest sometimes, and we need it pretty simple.
A lot of times.
And at the end, you have the chapter. It's easily, what's in the chapter. And at the end, there's a challenge. Something that a guy can look at. I mean, you tell him exactly what to do.
Just one thing.
One thing. It's not like, I can't do that. It costs no money. Might cost a little time.
Yep.
Might cost a little affection. But literally all the challenges cost zero money.
None. Yep.
And it was the simplest.
It just takes effort.
Simplest thing. And I just like the way it's designed, and I think it's an example for men that we need to work harder. We're not always going to get it right.
Yeah, and that's the thing that that's the thing that we need to know too, is they don't expect us to get it right. Shelly doesn't expect me to get it right all the time, but she expects me to show up. We expect that of our wives. Why can't we expect that of ourselves for our wives? You know what I mean? So, yeah, just the effort. But the thing is, it's like anything else. With effort, you just get better and better at it. So if there is no effort, then there's absolutely nothing.
So I think it's the last chapter. Maybe it says, Do her laundry.
Yep.
Is the title of that last chapter. You mean actually go do her laundry, or
that's why we were talking. I was telling you before that the book is a badge of honor for us. It's a story, just a simple story, meant to be a picture. I was telling you that, not a mirror, because our story is our story. Each picture is individually different. You can't replicate it. You can get pretty close, but you can't replicate it. It's still a forgery.
mm-hmm.
So the book's not meant to be. It's meant to be a mirror, because we need to look at ourselves, not someone else. We don't need to be comparing. People reading the book don't need to compare their marriage to our marriage. All they need to do is take some tools to try to better where they're at, and they may have a fantastic marriage reading that. That's what we've had. My husband does nearly every single thing in here. Fantastic. Me too. I'm always looking for that next edge that, just like people do in their work.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to make me $50,000 more a year? You got to have the same mentality in your marriage. How can I get Shelly even just more than I've already got her?
Mm-hmm.
And to strategize that. I mean, that may sound goofy, but
so that's a good point. So you guys do read that. Let's say they do and go, man, I'm doing it all. I'm perfect.
There's always room.
But then you're saying
something else. Yeah.
There's always
in Genesis it says that a man and woman, when he leaves his mother, he'll cleave to his wife. That means to pursue hard after. So that's an always going thing. That's not a catcher and then you're good,
mm-hmm.
which is how a lot of marriages go. I've got her. Let's coast for the next 40 years. So if I have to pursue hard after her, that's tomorrow morning too, So I got to figure out something else, because
What got her when you're dating?
I could write a book on all of the different things that I've done, either for our anniversary or this, that, or the other, that just are ideas. And I mean, I have to I've got to one up it the next time. You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? So if I'm not pursuing hard after, then I'm not looking for a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to what you were saying, the laundry part, that's just an example. Do her laundry is whatever it is that she doesn't like to do. She may not like to do the dishes, vacuum. So just something around the house that, is supposedly a woman's job to do,
mm-hmm.
That anybody can do. But it's just something that's taking something off her plate.
Mm-hmm.
It's protecting her in one more way,
mm-hmm.
And making it, that's the thing that we got to know is, here's the deal. You make it easy for her, then she's going to make it easy for you in another way,
mm-hmm.
And then you make it easy for her in a different way, and then she's going to make it like it ebbs and flows like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a checklist, like I just did this, now you do this. That's not how it works. I may be doing the same exact thing,
mm-hmm.
but it's not a checklist. It's how can I outdo? We say that all the time. How I'm always trying to outperform you,
mm-hmm.
and she's always trying to outperform me. And if that's our mindset, then it's always going to be pursuing hard after.
Mm-hmm.
But I win every time. So.
I mean, it's almost looking like coaching. If you're always trying to outperform the next person, you're just going to get better and better. And if they're doing the same to you, I mean, the skill level. I mean, the thing is about sports, you can see the skill level get better. We've talked about in some of my marriage groups about a marriage legacy, and I don't think we think about that.
I've seen that word a lot lately.
Yeah,
about in other areas.
About what kind of marriage, what kind of legacy will your marriage leave?
Yeah.
And it has to be a marriage that people can go, wow. Again, it's a picture, not a mirror, but a picture of, wow. I'm not going to compare myself to that, but I think that's when we're always trying to do better. And when you said not looking for something in return, I think of Jesus coming and serving.
Yeah.
He is serving. never looking for the return. It's what can I do to serve you? I think we always show up in our marriages. What can I do to serve you?
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what it is. There are probably a lot of areas that you had to serve in those dark times when it came to the kids and all the things that go along with that.
Yeah, because in times like that, you're not. There's no way that she can serve you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just hoping to make it through the day, and yeah. So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate the book because I think it comes in a time when, as stats show us, that marriages are in big trouble in our country, which is our responsibility as men. And in the book, you also talk about leading. You know, I always think about the Bible, the verse, and I can't quote it, and I don't know, but it's about women, wives be subservient to your husbands, submissive. Thank you. And sometimes get bent out of shape about that. But if we're leading as God would have us lead, then we're leading in the right direction.
Yes.
And I think
so. That's in Ephesians.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 verses. We like to harp on those 3 verses, but for dudes, there's 6, 8, 9 verses that are right after that are for us.
That instruct us how to.
Yeah. Love her as Christ loved the church.
Yeah.
Cover her with the washing of the water from the word, and taking care of her and all of those things. And so those are I heard this Sunday that those are giving verses. Those are meant to give, not you give me that, you give me your submission. Mm-hmm. No, I'm reading the scripture that's for me that says to love my wife as Christ loved the church. But just like the applications in the book, you can do this, this, and this. Well, I've got to know how Christ loved the church. So how am I going to know that? Well, I've got to read scripture. Well, what do you do? Well, he put himself on a cross. Okay. So do I put myself on a cross every day for my wife? Now we're talking about something different.
How does that look in our everyday life? How do we put ourselves on the cross for our wives?
That's good. That's a great question. All of it starts with a process of thinking about it. Number one, if it doesn't cross your mind, then you're never gonna, put thought into it, put effort into it, and then application into it. Mm-hmm. But loving her as Christ loved the church, I think is evident in all of those ways. Mm-hmm. Whether it's making it easy for her if she works, if she goes outside the home to work, I should say that. Mm-hmm. And coming home and making things easy for her. What can I do? What can I help? And it may just be nothing. Mm-hmm. She's cooking dinner, but you're in the kitchen with her and you're talking about your day. Mm-hmm. I'm not. She don't want me cooking anyway. But if she does work in the home, then it's when you get home. Oh, what? Don't ask her. Well, what'd you do today? Mm-hmm. That's the wrong question.
Yes.
It's no different than education. Everybody thinks they know about education. I say, have you ever subbed before? Have you substituted before? No, you should substitute. It'll change your perspective. Same thing here. Don't ask her what she's done every day. Let her go to work and you stay home with the kids and do that job every day. And then you won't ask her that question anymore. Mm-hmm. But, it's all of those aspects. It's, thinking of her first. As you're at the middle of the day, if you're thinking about her, letting her know. I mean, that's the main thing with guys is like, well, I'm struggling with this. She's upset with this, and I don't understand because, when she says that she's upset with this, the reason I do that is because this, 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 and this. Well, have you ever told her that before? Well, no. Then she doesn't know. Mm-hmm. So as guys, like I said, I mean, that's something that I still wrestle with is if it's not verbalized, then it's not real. Mm-hmm. So if I don't verbalize what I'm struggling with, then she doesn't know, and now we can't talk about it, and there's no connection. If I don't verbalize how I care about her, well, she knows I love her. Why? Because why? Because you married her, or because
Ooh, ain't she lucky?
or because you told her this morning, or
Mhm.
5 times during the day. If it's not verbalized, it's not out there. If it's not verbalized, you haven't created that. Creation comes with the speaking of that out, or the walking of that out. So if there is none of that, then there is you have not communicated that to her.
Mhm.
So all of those things, and then protecting her, whether it's from people or wild animals or
Literally.
thoughts in her own head that she's wrestling with, that you say that's not true. It's not true because this and this, or if it's not true because this scripture says this, you know uh, taking care of her in those ways.
Are there days through the last almost 30 years that you've had to choose to love Shelly?
Yeah, love is a choice. Yeah, it's not a feeling, because like we talked about. Shelly will even say, those butterflies, like when we were dating. Yeah, she goes, I wish I could feel those again.
Mm-hmm.
That's a feeling.
Yeah.
Love's a choice. You gotta wake up to that every day. I mean, where there's some times where like, what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
The first time that Shelly had an episode and she ended up in an actual mental hospital. I mean, that's a wake up call, and you're thinking, what am I doing here? I'm 20 years old, and the rest of my buddies are out doing whatever, and my wife's in a mental hospital. So, has it been a challenge? Yes. Um, your your emotions are always gonna be somewhere on a scale. Sometimes I'm ready to hit the day. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I love work. Sometimes I don't. But the walking through that, the love part is, you show up anyway, and that's the thing about, if you'll just uh, put that into action, then you can create those feelings back, by just being obedient to walking those things out.
Because in the Bible, again, told you I'm not good with scripture, and you probably know this. It talks about how love is kind, love is generous. There's several different things it says love is. And the interesting thing about that is that each one of those is a choice.
Sure.
And just like you said, if each one of those are choice,
Yeah, love is patient. Do you have patience all the time? I know I don't.
No,
it's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we are, well, he or she doesn't give me those butterfly feelings anymore. So moving on.
Yeah.
So
you'll always chase that butterfly feeling. It's no different than with cars, or clothes, or whatever that new thing is. If you're always chasing that feeling, then there's going to be something different in your life at all times.
Mm-hmm.
You're chasing, what you're doing is you're chasing that adrenaline rush. So sometimes love is boring. That's one of the things that I've had to learn, as far as getting old and your body hurting, and figuring out different ways that you've got to maintain or better your health. Food's always been a struggle for us, both of us, Shelly and myself. And I was reading that because we have so much variety.
Mm-hmm. Food as in?
Just in all, yeah.
Eating it
yes,
for you and Shelly?
Yes. We've run the gamut in all kinds of diets or whatever that.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have so many options, it makes us think that we're hungry all the time. Where if it's just boring, like that, then it's not an event to eat all the time. You know what I'm saying? Love is like that sometimes. Sometimes love is boring. Sometimes it's ugly. When your wife is sick, or your kids are sick and they're throwing up everywhere, or someone's battling cancer and your wife has to shave her head, love looks different in those instances. Because if you're chasing feelings in those instances, they're not going to be there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So making that conscious effort and decision to walk it out is I'm not saying it's easy,
Mm-hmm.
but that's how it works.
Yeah, and I agree. Love is challenging, and as you mentioned, love changes through the seasons of our life. Um, my wife and I got married when we have a blended family, so we got married, had 4 kids instantly. Went to the JP, got married. Next thing we know, we have 4 kids sitting around a breakfast table, and those are challenges.
Now you got to assess and figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, different stages of life.
Yeah, and so now we never really had an opportunity to date without kids. So now our kids are all grown; they're out of the house. And it's kind of fun because we love going on vacation. We like going on dates because we didn't get to do that. When you got 4 kids, it just doesn't work that way. But definitely, I can see how our marriage has grown over the years. Being a blended family is a challenge.
Yep.
And because of that, we decided, sometimes the kids, we love them, but sometimes they want to separate, especially with blended. So when we decided we were going to be a team of 1 instead of 2, it made all the difference.
Yeah.
But we had to make that decision.
Yeah.
And we've grown, and like you said, you listen to podcasts, you read books like yours, and you learn new things. And it's new ideas. What can I do for my marriage? How can I change it? How can I grow it? Because if something's not growing,
it's stagnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's stagnant or dying. Yeah.
And we always have to be in that pursuit. And I love how you say, pursue her daily. And that goes both ways.
Yeah.
I think it keeps a long lasting marriage.
Yeah.
That is.
And obviously we've talked about this. It's not a one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
The book is for men, but it's not, like you said, some women that you've talked to have read it and like, well, I can apply that to me too. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think in our times now that men need to hear a message that's loud and clear.
Mm-hmm. So I might put you on the spot a little bit, but we were talking before. The book is kind of a nice way of telling men what your real message would be, which is,
let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Step up.
Yeah. Step up. Yeah. Yeah.
Be a man for your family.
Yeah. Like, bro, come on. Let's don't look for excuses. Let's leave the past behind, whatever we haven't done well, whatever obstacles that you think, well, this, and this, and she, this. I mean, we got to, everybody, but books for men. We've got to control what we can control. If your marriage is in a rocky place, a challenging place, you can't control the feelings of your spouse. And it's probably dangerous if you do. I got to be able to control what I can control. So I can control my thoughts and my emotions. I can control my actions. And so it's if the book was a megaphone, it would be a rally cry for men to it's Braveheart time. It's this is needed right now because, like you said, the divorce rate continues to climb. There's all kinds of reasons for that. I'm not here to say, to put that on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, control what you can control. I'm me. I can control me. I can control what I do in my marriage. And so that's all that I know. And as guys, that should resonate.
Mm-hmm.
A challenge should resonate with a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
An obstacle.
Another guy challenges another guy. Like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, man, let's go.
You want to arm wrestle? Let's go.
An obstacle should challenge a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would hope that, the book would do is it's a challenge. Are you gonna step up to it? Are you going to control what you can control? If it's rocky right now, you can't. focus on the things that you can control, not these outward things. Not how your wife is going to react when you try to do one of these things in the book. She may be like, I've seen that before. Control what you can control, and funnel it down to that thing, and just focus and hammer that thing out.
Because I think that's a great example, because when we control what we can control, it doesn't change the circumstance instantly.
No,
but when we
and
keep
it won't,
showing up,
it won't
taking control of what we can control, we keep showing up in that manner, over time, that relationship starts to change.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just not, he just wasn't trying to be nice. And so, I see this habit forming.
Mm-hmm.
He's always showing up like this.
Well, the reason it works that way, and those, I think it's in the chapter about the laundry, like, do the laundry, but then don't just come into the room and be like,
dun, 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 dun.
I'm done. I've conquered Mount Rushmore, and not Rushmore, but whatever the mountains are that they climb. Anyway,
Everest.
Thank you, Everest.
Yes. Look at me. Look what I did.
Look what I have done. It's not going to work that way. I was telling somebody the other day, equity takes a lifetime to build, but it can be lost in a second. So if you're at the point in your marriage that either there's never been equity or there's been a loss of it, then you've got to build it back up. So just doing the laundry, it's not a list of, hey, if you'll do these things, it'll magically repair your marriage. That's not the message of the book.
Mm-hmm.
The message is behind the action. And so you're not going to see a change the first time that you attempt to do something, as ugly as it may be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the first time you go talk to a girl and you're fumbling over the words that you're supposed to say, and it's like, you felt like an idiot, but she gave you her number anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win. Now I've got some confidence. It's the same thing. You've got to build the equity back up for the trust to be built back up, for the, to get where you're trying to get. So no, it does not happen overnight.
I think it's so important that the equity in it can be lost in a moment. That takes time to build up. I think sometimes we think, well, I have all this equity. I just messed up this one time. Can I cash some of this in?
It doesn't work that way.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and we have to be patient and put the work in, put the time in to build it back. Because a relationship can be destroyed in a moment.
Absolutely. Yep.
And just takes time to rebuild it. And so, where can they get the book? I guess on Amazon.
Amazon. Yep. It's you can get the paperback or the ebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
just type in 30 Years Strong, and it's the only one that will pop up for that.
And it's number one on a bunch of.
It's on new release. At first it was high on some of the other lists, but as time goes on, but still on a new release. And so, from what I understand, that you're on that new release for a month when you release the book.
Mm-hmm.
So that's getting pretty close to the end. But I think it's top 3 in the you put it in certain categories, so that if somebody's typing in, it's all algorithm stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They just type in, husband's marriage, then these books pop up. If you type in gardening, these books type up. So there's a couple sub headings that the book is under. So those are the subheadings that it's doing decently well at right now.
Mm-hmm. And I want to commend you from might say, I don't know if an entrepreneur, but just commend you for taking the step to write this book, because there are so many challenges we were talking before that didn't know how to do anything.
No,
from
not
editing to doing the cover.
If my only skill is being a husband and loving my wife, no, I've got no skill anywhere else. So when it comes to electronics and internet and all of that, no, I've only been on Facebook since May.
Since May.
The whole process is really a stretching event.
And I like this because I like to say that God doesn't call the qualified; He qualifies the called. And I do believe that missions in foreign fields are amazing and wonderful, and there's a place for that. But I also believe there's missions to be had right here in our own homes.
Absolutely.
For men and families.
Control what you can control.
Mm-hmm. Some of the best advice my dad ever gave me was when I struggled with my business. He said sometimes your mission field is inside your business.
Yep.
And when he told me that, because I wanted to make this difference in the world, and he said, "Well, your mission field can be right there where you're planted."
Well, with the social media and everything else, I mean, everybody wants to be an influencer. Everything is bigger. Everything is, it's what's that next big thing? You can't control that. That may happen or it may not. You can control I can control me. And me controlling me hopefully has an effect on my wife. If that situation is in the place that it needs to be, then I've got an effect on my kids if I've got kids. And that alone, if you didn't go outside that sphere, if you could hit a home run in that area, you've done your job. I think we're fortunate and blessed to be able to go outside of that, whether that's in our work, whether that's in our sphere of, connections that we make, whether it's, broader than that, whether it's being on TV or, having a podcast or whatever it is, to me, that's icing on the cake. Our marriages, if our marriage, that's the other thing, not just with the marriage rates, but, I have the belief that where marriage goes, so goes our country. And then again, that's because that's the building blocks. If that's strong, I feel like our country is strong and our future is strong. That's my concern. So if that's all you're good at, then I think it's enough. And the rest is, gifts.
I agree. One final question. If, typically I ask this question if somebody's married 50, 60 years, but 30 years, you're still going on. Almost 30 years, getting close. What would you say has been the secret to your marriage of making it almost 30 years?
Well,
just personally for you and Shelley.
Obviously, going back to the term divorce and removing it from the dictionary for us. But the reason for that is, the foundation of why we chose to get married young and soon in the first place. And that was to honor each other and to honor God in that. And so you can do her laundry. You can, shoot her a nice text during the day. You can take her out to eat. You can, whatever. But the foundation of that, is in our faith. So without that, there is nothing else. You boil it all down to that, and that is what it is.
It's faith.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you, Aaron, so much for being on the Mind Body Project. I appreciate it. And they can go get the book on Amazon. 30 years strong.
30 years strong. Shelley and I are on the front end of doing another book that's got her voice in it, and I don't know how long that's going to take, but I've got another deal that hopefully within this next week that I'll shoot out to, that is 6 pillars of what makes a man whole. It's taken from Samuel, the book of Samuel, about David, because you were talking about, I forget what you said a minute ago, but calling the not calling the qualified, but qualifying the called. David was that way. He had a lot of fantastic attributes. That what this looks at, the 6 in particular, and it's attributes that he had before he was called. nobody knew it, but God did. And so that's what that is. It's a short deal, but it's got some good stuff in it like that. Just some practical stuff that we've got to think about, from our health to, there's some protective challenge in there. There's also one that has not touched a whole lot that I've seen in anything as far as men and being complete, and that's the artistic side of creating. That idea is in there too. So it's very, very short. It's just a PDF document, but it's pretty powerful in my opinion.
And that'll be out probably in the next week.
Yes.
Or so.
Yeah.
I won't put you under the gun, but so they can find that on Amazon.
No, that won't be on Amazon.
Not on Amazon. Sorry.
Yeah.
That will be.
Yes.
So I was going to say the book is through Amazon.
Book's through Amazon.
They can follow you on social media.
Yes.
Aaron Tefertiller. Also,
30 Years Strong. I've got two.
You follow 30 Years Strong. That's probably where they're going to get information on how to get that PDF.
Yep.
In the coming weeks.
Yep.
So there's a lot of ways to contact you.
Yep.
But go get the book. Connect with you on social media.
Yep.
In any way you can. Thank you for taking the time to put out this message for men. I think it's very powerful. I think it's something that men need to hear.
Appreciate it.
Even though there's so many reasons you could say no, and probably one to say no, but you did it anyhow.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we make the biggest difference in life, is when we go past all those no's and say yes, because again, there's somebody out there that needs to hear that message you're sharing. And I think there's a lot more.
Just take that first step.
Yeah. So thank you, Aaron.
With your wife, take that first step.
It doesn't have to be hard.
Nope.
It doesn't have to cost any money. It's just step one.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Aaron, for joining us. Thank you to each of you for joining us on the Mind Body Project. And as I tell my wife, Kim, every night before I go to bed, it's Bomb of the Night, AA, out.